Eat more chips, don't let the salad win. That's the message in terms of nature of the food maybe that we consume in Wales.
Oh, in Wrexham town they say there's a team that likes to play association football with precision. On the terraces they call, come on Nixie, hit that ball, and we're off to the second division. Come and see the Reds with me, and you will swear that you have seen a vision. Top of Division 3, led by Arno Litti, we're off to the second division. Come and see the Reds with me, and you will swear that you have seen a vision. We know just how they feel when they beat the private meal. We're off to the second division.
So the pre-season is well underway, and Wrexham, as we know, have not gone to America as they did last year and the year before, but they've actually gone down under, as it were, to Australia and New Zealand for their time there. Now, obviously, I know nothing apart from the usual stereotypes of everything's going to kill you and corks on a hat, which I'm sure most uneducated people would say about Australia, and there's more sheep than people, where New Zealand is concerned. So I think it was important to be able to bring in somebody who knows exactly what Australia is really about. So from Rousey's Wrexham Roundup, of course, it's our friend and ever constant podcaster, it's Rousey. Hello, mate.
Hey, g'day. How's it going?
How you doing, buddy? Enjoying the
good.
pre-season at all?
There's more roos than people in Australia, so.
Well, there you go. You see, again, I don't know whether that's a stereotype or not. I couldn't tell you. How are you enjoying the pre-season so far? Let's just talk first of all about, obviously, because the club's been fairly quiet, apart from a couple of ins and a couple of outs. Let's talk about the outs first, shall we? Obviously, it was sad to see, the likes of. It was
Stephen
sad
Fletcher,
to see the likes,
Paul Mullin.
Fletch going. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was kind of thinking, which was saddest? Was it Fletch going or was it Mullin going? I mean, for you, which one was the sadder for you?
Fletch. Yeah, it's got to be Fletch. I mean, look, Paul Mullen's technically still part of the club, and he still has a door open for him to come back. But that's all on how he does and how he performs. But Fletcher is very final. It's done. So yeah, definitely.
Were you surprised? Were you surprised that they didn't think about keeping him for another 12 months? Because as we've said before, we said when we talked last time, without his interventions, his late coming on, his setting up goals for people, there's no way we'd got promoted. So are you surprised? The club said no, that's him?
I was. I was wondering whether he would actually be given enough, like another contract or at least another 12 months, or just to be there as even a bit part. But maybe, who knows what happened behind the scenes and why it was done that way. I mean, it sounded like it came as a surprise because he was still promoting over in the USA when, he flew back in, and 2 days later he's dropped. So maybe it caught quite a few people by surprise. I think in reality, when you think about it, it's probably a smart move, but harsh. And yeah, yeah, I was devastated at that. It was probably one of the hardest ones to date that I've had to deal with someone leaving the club. So yeah. Yeah, it's been an interesting off season, I think, and I think I share the same sentiment as you. I think I would have liked to have been a little bit more busier than, rather than just watching grass grow on a pitch every single day.
It's the one thing I know Jamie's really concerned about because, as we're recording this, which is kind of, July 5th, the club have done very, very few transactions at the moment with regards to next season, certainly compared to a lot of our competitors in the Championship. I mean, let's talk about Mullin briefly, because you've got to do it. Unfortunately, as you say, strictly speaking, he's not part of the club. He's gone to Wigan for a season-long loan. But this has, for me, a feeling of finality about it all, with regards to, he's going, and he's probably not coming back. There don't seem to be many noises coming from the club that he's going to be coming back. I mean, do you think this is good for Paul himself, first of all?
I think for Paul himself, it's very good because it's only literally just down the road for him. So he gets to be even closer to his family. And we know from interviews and his book and all that, his family is like number one. Like, that's all he cares about. So for him to be really close to his family and to Albie and be given more time for that. So I think that's probably a good thing for him. Whether it is a final thing, I mean, I think most people are expecting it to be final, but I'd say there's a real good chance it is final, probably like a 75% chance, but there's always a door open as long as he's still on our books. If he does well and we're in need of a striker and we know he's got his form back, why wouldn't we take him back? I mean, he's already proven himself before, so
he has. Do you think that the things that have gone on behind the scenes and sometimes in public, I mean, for him to be in the Wigan, I was at Wigan, he was in the Wigan end, not 30 feet away from me, around the fans, to come on the pod and say the things, some fans thought that was controversial, the things he was talking about, particularly when he said, "I'm now playing for myself," and that's probably not the way it meant to come out, but that's what it felt like. I mean, do you think that's not going to help? Because obviously Parky is the boss at the end of the day, and I can't imagine he was particularly pleased with when he saw and heard things like that.
Well, I think I read somewhere that he actually got the blessing of the club to talk to Wigan that day, and that's one of the reasons why I was there. Right. So that they were actually discussing with Wigan the option of a purchase, but obviously they don't have the money to pay out the rest of Mullin's contract and purchase him. So they've obviously worked in with a loan of the club. So I have a feeling that the club and both Wigan and Wrexham have worked quite closely here together. I don't fully know what the loan terms are, whether it's an option to buy or whatnot.
No option to buy, apparently. There's no option to buy. It's literally just a season-long loan. And apparently, whether you believe it or not, the rumours seem to be that we're paying 50% of his wages.
Wow. There we go. I'd say that's, you would think that given the standards of the Championship, and he was given a chance to prove himself in League One, 26 games, 3 goals, no assists, isn't a very good turnaround in League One. And I think that was what Parky ended up alluding to as well. He said that in the documentary that we just needed more from our number 9. Being able to score goals is a vital part for any striker, and it just wasn't happening. It wasn't happening with Ollie Palmer, and well, it happened a little bit with Ollie Palmer. I think he got 5 or 6 goals in the end, but it just wasn't happening for Paul Mullin. And you could see he was desperate. You could see he was trying.
Oh, yeah.
You could see.
And you wouldn't expect anything. You wouldn't expect anything else from Paul, would you? He wants to. He's a striker at the end of the day. He wants to score. And the thing is, we know as well as we've seen, haven't we? But there are players who play within the Wrexham structure, don't seem to do very well, and then go out on loan or go to other clubs, and hey presto, start banging in the goals. So, how much of a headache do you think this would be for Parky if he does go to Wigan and bang in 20, 25 goals?
A decent headache, probably about the same as when it was with Sam Dolby, but if not more. Depends what situation we're in. If we're banging in goals and we don't need him, he just stays there. So, but if he starts banging in goals and he looks like he's got his form back, and we need a striker on our team, then it's pretty much a foregone conclusion. We can pull him back in and he can start playing for Wrexham again. And I'm pretty sure he won't be adverse to that. He would probably love that, but he'll be given his chance. And that will be his chance to prove himself. And then if he doesn't prove himself, then I would say that is a done time for him. End of the Paul Mullen era. But
I mean, he's a human being. He's a human being in Rousey, and you can see from his interviews that he was upset. He was upset about because the thing is, as Jamie alluded on the pod last week, his legendary status at Wrexham is assured. That will never, ever, ever change for what he has done. But I think he feels he has unfinished business. Would you agree?
Yep. I think he does. I think he needs to be able to prove himself in the Championship. He wants to prove himself in the Championship. So I wouldn't be surprised if he does get that opportunity. And all the more for it. You know, at least then we can truly say the era is over. It wasn't ended short through to injury. You know, it because people talk about the ceiling of certain players and whether League One was a ceiling too much for Paul Mullen. But I disagree with that. The guy was coming off a back injury, and we heard on the documentary it could take 6 months to recover from that.
Yeah,
and he was back playing almost straight away. So I think he only had like 4 or 5 games off, and then he was back on. But to go 6 months for a full recovery, he was pretty much playing through the pain the whole time, wasn't he? So yeah, you know, I really, really wish the best for Paul Mullen, and I hope that the door isn't closed for him. I think he has earned himself a chance to prove himself in the Championship, but he's got to earn his way back in. And it's just a case that we've got too many quality strikers now. You know, we've brought in Ryan Hardy. We've got obviously Sam Smith, who's great. Rodriguez, who I think will become the Stephen Fletcher role.
Yep,
Watch
I
this
agree.
space.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, and Jack Marriott, who's a good striker and Championship proven as well. So
absolutely, he's still there. I mean, let's just talk about Ryan Hardy for a second. Obviously, Plymouth Argyle, again, proven goal scorer at Championship level, which is perfect. Obviously, as well, he knows Dan Scarr, Callum Burton from his time at Plymouth. Thoughts on him? Thoughts on his purchase? Do you think? I mean, and particularly if we got him for what they say, which is about £700,000. That is an absolute snip, isn't it?
I think it's easy to be underwhelmed by that signing if you don't really know what had gone on at Plymouth Argyle and why they're now relegated. So I think it is very easy to look at that and be like, oh, he was in the bottom of the team. But the fact is he's made double digits in the Championship for a team that was at the bottom of the ladder. And that's pretty good. I mean, I think he'll do good for us. I think, you know, looking at some of his numbers as well from the testing video that he did, I mean, you know, he's probably got it lacking a little bit of pace. I think Ollie Palmer was quicker over the 20 dash. Yeah, I think hopefully his skill and his ability just to be quite a fox, you know, quite sneaky, will do us well. So I don't think that's a bad signing at all. But I can see it's easy to be a little bit underwhelmed by it. But I think just watch him. I think he'll be more than a good enough striker for us.
I think Wrexham fans at the moment, I think unless you sign, you know, Ronaldo, you know, I think that they seem to be disappointed, which I really don't understand. I mean, with that in mind, you know, Danny Ward, Jamie and I commented on the pod last week. It bowled our piss to some of the comments we've seen from Wrexham fans. I mean,
the Welsh legend.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've seen Danny up close while going to watch the national side. You know, he is a proven top lane goalkeeper. You know, Liverpool, Leicester. You know, he hasn't played below Championship level. I mean, obviously, Chomp, you know, went, and not a lot of people were surprised. I thought maybe they would keep him for one more year, but as you say, in the kind of coaching role because of his influence over the goalkeepers union backstage, behind the scenes, and advice for Arthur and for Callum. But I mean, Danny Ward is a signing for you. Is this an absolute no-brainer?
I think that's a very well. Okay, so we look at this, and I don't understand why there's been such trepidation. I mean, I've tried to. I've seen. I've looked at a few of his Leicester performances, which could have been a bit. He made a few quite clear clangers, but even before his time at Leicester, he was a solid keeper, and I think most people think, look at this signing. Oh, he's coming in from Leicester. He's got Premier League experience. He's a proven goalkeeper. He's Welsh international. He's coming in to replace Arthur. Where I'm like, no, I don't think that's the case. I think he's coming in to push Arthur. He's coming in to challenge for his spot. And that's only going to make Arthur more hungrier and better as a goalkeeper. And I think Danny knows that. Danny knows he's coming in as a number 2, but pushing for a number 1 spot. And in that sense, what a brilliant signing that would be. I mean, to learn from someone like Danny Ward, who really was at the top of his game. I think there's probably, next to like Kasper Schmeichel or so many good goalkeepers that.
I mean, he's played in a World Cup and a Euros. Not many goalkeepers can put that on their CV. He's played at a World Cup and a Euros and taken a significant part in both. So you can't, that experience is worth its weight in gold. And we got him on a free. We didn't even pay a transfer fee for him. Yes, people are moaning about, his wages are going to be quite expensive, but all players' wages now we're in the Championship are expensive. That's the nature of the Championship, isn't it? It's everything is elevated, everything goes up. So
and if we're paying a little more for him, we haven't paid that transfer fee. So that what probably might have been like $3 or $4 million or whatnot has now. We could put that money into his wages rather than having to pay it as an agent's transfer fee. So makes sense. Makes perfect sense.
Makes total sense. Yeah, totally agree. And it'll be interesting to see what happens with regards to, I mean, obviously Callum Burton re-signed his deal yesterday. So I think the goalkeepers union, the 3 of them, is a nice, solid unit. If by some fluke we had last year where both Arthur and Callum get injured, I'm delighted that we've got Danny behind the sticks. I mean, what an incredible backup to be. But as you rightly say, my thoughts are he's probably going to come in as number 2. He's a number 2 keeper. That's where he was in Liverpool and Leicester. He's there to push Arthur and to basically, say, come on, let's do some training together. Let you hear my experiences. You can ask me questions. You can use my knowledge. You can use the stuff that I've seen, to try and help improve your game. That's only going to be a good thing, which is absolutely great. Obviously, we had the fixtures out week before last, which was brilliant. You're obviously coming over now in April, I believe. Is that right?
Yeah. I've delayed my trip slightly for April. I'm thinking of saving it for that Coventry game at the end of the season.
Cool. Well, I was going to say that's probably the key game for you, isn't it? The Coventry game. I mean, apart from that one, which obviously for obvious reasons, and for people who don't know, that's where you were born. That's where you're originally from before you emigrated over to Oz. So Wrexham Coventry for you is like your pants are gonna be full of jizz. It's gonna be ridiculous. It's gonna be that you're gonna be that excited.
I'll be tearing my clothes off myself.
You're gonna be like a dog with 2 dicks, mate. That's what you're gonna be like. What other kind of fixtures are you kind of looking forward to seeing in the calendar?
Millwall.
Home or away? Because the last time Millwall were at the Kairos, they wrecked the place because basically they broke through the turnstiles and more fans got in and had tickets and they wrecked the place. And obviously Millwall away is to go to the Den is legendary.
Yeah, Millwall away, definitely Millwall away. I just think there's some good history there. There's some good juiciness. I think the hooliganism, they're quite a very, take no shit fan base, but boy, they will give it away. They will give it to you. So I think, just to go into that, especially with someone like James McLean, That's
already
football porn, mate.
he's
That is
already come out on
football
social
porn.
media, hasn't he, and said bring it on. So yeah, he's
Yeah.
already started to stoke the fires. So yeah, that's going to be a fairly fighty game, I would imagine, a boisterous game. What else? What
West
other
Brom
ones?
as well. West Brom. I'm
Baggies,
really looking
yeah.
forward to seeing the Baggies. Yeah. I think. Yeah. West Brom. I would say Sheffield United, but we've kind of already been there.
Nah.
Been there, done that.
I mean, it's nice that it's a Boxing Day. It's a Boxing Day match, which is which is good. Which is great because the Boxing Day matches are always good fun. But yeah, I know what you mean on that one. Anything with the derbies? I mean, obviously Swansea, because of where I live literally about half an hour from Swansea. So for me, going to the Swansea.com stadium is perfect. And I have to be honest, I can take or leave, being beaten by a Southampton or a Leicester or an Ipswich. But if we can do one on Swansea, for me, that's a beauty because that makes us the best team in Wales. And
can you imagine
if
Luke Williams was? Yeah. Can you imagine if Luke Williams was still in control of Swansea, and how much of a story that would have been had he had stayed with them when we'd come up?
Well, he's still on gardening leave, isn't he? He's still on gardening leave, Luke, and he's been doing other work, just I think to keep himself busy, while his contract is on gardening leave. So he was seen working at Bristol Airport doing some disability access help, which is lovely, which is great. He's keeping himself busy, but basically because he's on gardening leave, and I think he's quite bored. So yeah, it would have been very interesting to see him in charge of Swansea.
How was he on gardening leave when he got sacked?
Well, it's a weird one because basically it's to do with accounting. Rather than sacking him and terminating his contract, what they've done is they've basically kept his contract going to the end of his contract, so they don't have to pay penalties and they don't have to do this and they don't have to do that. So it's all about financial accounting and stuff like that. It's the dark, seedy underworld of how football clubs really work with regards to that. So yeah, but I mean, yeah, good luck to him. That's what we're saying. He'll get another job in management because he is a good manager. It just didn't fit at Swansea, unfortunately, which was a shame. So obviously, back to back. None of us thought for 1 second last season that this was going to happen. Me particularly, you did. I was about to say, apart from yourself, you did. You were one of the few voices who said no, we're going to do it. So I asked this with trepidation because I think I know what's going to be coming. Nobody so far that I've spoken to has said, "Oh yeah, back to back to back to back." Can we?
Oh, this is going to be giving away a bit of a spoiler for an upcoming episode for me.
Don't give any spoilers. Just skirt around it.
I'm quite happy to put this out there. I think Wrexham will do it again, but it'll be through the playoffs.
Right. I mean, that would be incredible on its own, wouldn't it? Let's be honest.
That would be something else. That's where I think maybe Wrexham will sneak into the playoffs and then they'll just go on a tear and we would secure a spot I think that's what will possibly happen. If that does happen, I would expect Wrexham to come straight back down though the following season.
Oh, without a shadow of a doubt. I mean, there's no, you're competing then with teams who have 100 times the budget that we have, even on our best day. So that would be incredible. Yeah. Why do you think that? Why do you think that Wrexham can't? Because as I say, everybody I've spoken to so far has said no chance, not a chance in hell. We won't get relegated, but there's no way we'll get anywhere near the playoffs. We will be lower mid-table because of blah 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 blah. One of 1,000 reasons. Why do you think Wrexham can actually do it?
Okay, so we've heard this narrative before at the start of League One. Just about everyone was writing Wrexham off and saying they'll be mid-table consolidation, all that sort of stuff. Same narrative, the same people saying the same thing all over again. what they don't take into account, I think what a lot of people don't take into account is when the club Wrexham is a whole like it is. Like it's a solid team. It's got probably the best changing room out of any of the 92. It's just a really solid together family club. Everyone's pulling in the same direction. You got three seasons of constant promotions. That momentum, that togetherness, that's you can't. It's such a hard thing to quantify, but it's such a big thing when it comes to just winning games. Now, championship being tough, Parky's got a very good defensive record. I think you do need to be a little bit more defensive in the championship, but I think Wrexham will be fine with that. And that coupled with what is going on around the club, I think can't be underestimated. I would argue Wrexham will finish anywhere from 10th to the playoffs, but I got the same sneaking suspicious feeling that I had when League One was happening or just about to kick off. The same feeling that I had then, I have now, and I think that Wrexham will do it again, but through the playoffs. Just to stress everyone out.
Well, hey, being a Wrexham fan is stressful, whatever happens, so it doesn't matter. Are you expecting more signings before we kick off on August the 8th?
I bloody hope so. I really do. I think we need to sign someone to sort of really push Elliot Lee's position as well. Elliot Lee, I love the bloke, and he's dynamic. He's so good on the ball, but he needs a bit of competition, like proper competition, a really good threat, someone that's got a lot of technical skill in that role. I'd like to see come in. I think we're in talks with Lewis O'Brien, which would just be absolutely just nuts.
Yeah, he was brilliant at Swansea. He was on loan at Swansea last season, and he was excellent at Swansea. I know Swansea were disappointed that they couldn't keep hold of him. So yeah, that would be a big signing, definitely. And obviously Owen Beck as well. All the rumours about Owen Beck from Liverpool. He played left back for Blackburn last season on loan, and he was their starter for them. I think he would be an excellent signing as well, because again, we love Jimmy Mack, of course we do. But his age is not with him. This is going to be a tough league. We need somebody to match all the work we're doing on the right wing with players, to have that kind of backup and that reserve. So yeah, I think to have him as well would be incredible. There's a lot of shenanigans going on behind the scene at the moment, because Liverpool basically putting pressure on him to try and sign a new contract, and he's saying, "Well, I don't think I really want to do that. I don't want to go. I don't want you to sign with you and then go out on loan. I actually want to move on with my career." So it must be difficult with a club the size of Liverpool to say no, but that's the nature of football. Let's talk about then the pre-season tour. As we're recording this, the guys were seen this morning at Manchester Airport. So they've got on a plane and they're on their way over to see you. You're going to watch them, of course. You're going to go to Sydney to actually watch them live. The first time, I believe, you've watched them live. Is that correct?
First time I'll ever get to see Wrexham live, and it will be in Sydney. So
Brilliant.
Super excited.
Excellent. Great. Let's just talk first of all about Australian football, because I know absolutely nothing about Australian football. Obviously, these two teams, Sydney and Melbourne, are A-League teams. What's the A-League? What's the A-League about? What's its kind of pocket of history and kind of level if we compare it against the British pyramid?
Okay, so where to start? It started off as a National Soccer League,
right.
The NSL, right? And a lot of it was focused around Melbourne and Adelaide, and a lot of them were very much territorial, ethnic clubs. So you had like your Lebanese clubs, your Italian clubs, and they would be specifically only, you would have to be Lebanese to go to it, or Turkish to go to the particular club. So a lot of these clubs came up and got established through that. But the NSL went through serious turmoil and very, very bad management, and ended up folding, and that ended up being restructured into a round robin type tournament, which gave birth to what was then the Hyundai A League. They sponsored it for like 10 years or so. But even today, it's got a very strange system similar to the AFL, where your teams will play a certain amount of games, and then your top 6 teams will go on to a round robin tournament and play for the title. So you essentially get to win. You can win 2 titles in the same season. You can win the champion, which is the person who finishes first in the regular season, and then the premier is the person who wins the round robin tournament from the top 6. So it's very similar to the way Aussie rules football works.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't work in. I don't think it works in football.
It sounds like the Gennaro Adrian Premier, exactly the same thing. You know, they get to phase 1 and then they split the league in half, and then so you can win almost top of the league at that point, which you don't win anything anyway, and then obviously it goes split 4-4, and then you can play on for whatever. I mean, is there relegation and promotion?
No.
To and from? No. So it's a locked system. So
everyone's crying out for it. Everyone's crying out for it. Everyone wants. Like, I think that will be the thing that changes football in Australia if they were able to do that. The hard part with that is what they call the tyranny of distance, because everything is so far apart in Australia, and to travel, even just to do what I'm about to do, to go from Perth to Sydney, that's a 5.5 hour trip on a plane, and probably like 50 hours of straight driving, like non-stop, just to get there. So you can imagine trying to coordinate that with multiple teams within the system can be quite hard, and the flights aren't cheap.
No. I mean, last time I bitch about going down from here to Southampton for the start of the season, that's for sure. You know, I'm moaning, going, "Oh God, it's 3 hours on a train." Yeah, I think, to be honest with you, I think
that's just a work trip. That's a work trip, bro.
Yeah, that's just a pop down to the shops for you. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
So below the A League, then, what's the kind of landscape of football? Because obviously football in Australia has to compete with some fairly serious sports. I mean, you talked about Aussie rules football, which I absolutely love Aussie rules. I know some people can't get their head around it because it's like, well, what is it? Is it rugby? Is it football? Is it Gaelic football? What is it? Love it.
It's the most brutal game you'll ever see.
It's physical, you know what I mean? And they wear the shortest shorts and tightest tops I have ever seen. They are proper men. They're like, I've got guns, I've got a big knob, I'm going to make sure everybody can see it. There was a time in the UK when
Elliot Lee will fit right in.
Oh, wow, yeah, too right. There was a time, I'm going to go way off tangent here. There's a time when the television system in the UK was expanding, and originally we used to have kind of 3 channels. You know, there was BBC One, BBC Two, and ITV, and that was it. And then when Channel 4 came on the scene, they kind of were looking to go, right, well, how can we fill our schedules with stuff that is unusual that the other 3 aren't doing? And I remember in the 80s, they started doing things like Italian football. So they used to have an Italian football show on a Sunday morning, which was great. They'd do things like sumo wrestling and things like that, which we'd never seen. And I remember they brought in Aussie Rules football, where you could start watching Aussie Rules football. And I remember as a kind of a late teenager, early 20s, actually going, wow, this is brilliant. And that's where my love for Aussie Rules football came in. But obviously Australia has got Aussie Rules football. Obviously, cricket, you're a big cricket nation. You're a big rugby league nation. You're a big rugby union nation. You know, those are just the 4 kind of big sports. I mean, football has got to compete with a lot of stuff. I mean, how popular is association football in Australia?
Yeah, that's the thing. It's extremely popular for World Cups. That's probably just about it. The A-League or Football Australia, they really miss the mark when it comes to promoting the league. It's impossible to. You have to buy into the A-League. Like you literally will have, and then you have to have every single team vote that it's going to be that they said that yes, they'll give their blessing for a new team to come into the competition, but then ultimately it's up to the Australian government and the Football League whether they're going to allow another team into the competition. Now, I think 2 years ago, it was solely Australian teams. We didn't even think about bringing New Zealand teams in. Now, this might give you an idea of just where the league is at quality wise. We brought in Wellington FC, which is one of the teams we're going to be playing in the friendly, and Auckland FC. Right, Auckland FC is made up of a lot of New Zealand internationals. Now, they were brought in 2 years ago. Their first year in the competition, they won the Premier, they won the championship. Sorry, not the So they won the championship. So they won the overall season. But they didn't win the grand final because that was played against Melbourne Victory and Melbourne City.
Right.
This last season just gone, exactly the same thing happened again. Auckland finished top of the table, but it ended up another grand final between Melbourne City and Melbourne Victory. So really, I mean, that goes to show you can bring in a team that has no experience in this league, and all of a sudden, 2 years running, they finish top of the ladder.
Yep.
So
yes, and I see what you mean. So the game. So in ranking terms of the 3 games, is the Melbourne Victory game the hardest one? Do you think Wrexham is going to face?
Yes. Yep. I think Melbourne Victory will be the hardest. So they finished 5th in the league overall. They did pretty well, obviously, through the final series, as we call it. So we don't call them playoffs, we just call them final series. They did pretty well through that. Sydney FC were finished 7th, so they were really close, but they challenged a lot of Melbourne Victory through the season. But Auckland just ran away with it. But we're not playing Auckland, we're playing Wellington. Wellington finished second bottom. So yeah, I'd say
playing Auckland then. Why are we not playing Auckland rather than Wellington? I mean,
I don't know. It's a weird one.
You want to test yourself at least, maybe, I don't know. Anyway, maybe
I don't see any of these games being a test. I would love to be wrong. Right, I would love to be wrong, but I don't see any of these games being a real massive test for Wrexham. We should easily walk over them. I would dare even say you might even see like a 7-0 scoreline or something.
So you've been lucky because not lucky. You've been there with the sweating blood with the rest of us. You've seen the level of the National League, the level of League Two, the level of League One. You're aware of the level of Championship that we're going into. Obviously, the Premiership because everybody does because it's quite popular around the world. What kind of level would you say A-League football is at? If we were going to take Melbourne now as the most successful team and plop them in the EFL pyramid, where do you think they would feel most comfortable with regard to being a successful side?
National League regions, so north and south, I reckon.
Good Lord.
Yeah, look, you get some sprinkling of talent. Like you do get some real good talent that comes out of these A leagues, but personal opinion, National League North South, maybe National League would be the closest where it's at. But like I said, you do get some good players that come through the system and they go on. Like I know we've had Tim Cahill and all those people come through the system. We've had I think Harry Suter now who plays for Sheffield United. So you do get some players that come through, but that do really well. They play for the Australian national team, but a lot of like the J League takes up a lot of Australian top players, or they go on and they go on and push through Europe, and they bring their career up through Europe rather than playing in the A League in Australia, because the A League in Australia really is not of what I would call a high quality. And I remember we were having this debate within my rowdy army, and we were talking about Ryan Teague, which I think the club had expressed interest on. And I was saying, look, he's not a ready-made replacement. And everyone's saying, yeah, look at his score on FOTMod, though. It's a 7.7, all that. I said, yeah, but you got to look at the league he's playing in. He's a 7.7 in the A-League, not a 7.7 in the Championship. Big difference.
And is this the problem with is this the problem with Australian football? Is that just the level is so low with regards to skill? Because as you say, the Socceroos do really, really well. They attend World Cups. They stand toe to toe. They do incredibly well. I mean, with regards to kind of homegrown players, is the A-League primarily homegrown players, or do you get a lot of players coming in from other countries?
No, we get a lot of players coming in from other countries. So, like for instance, Melbourne Victory, they've got a forward named Bruno Finoli. He's obviously, where's he come from? He's part of the Australian national team actually. But yeah, so he's coming from. He was born in Uruguay, so he's come in as a European national. Someone from the Indian League is Nishan Velipillai. So he's coming from the Indian leagues.
So there's a sprinkle. I mean, do you get a lot? Because obviously the next strongest league to you is the J League, I would imagine, because
the Japan League.
China at the moment is absolutely on its arse. I mean, they're in serious trouble. I mean, they haven't even qualified for the next World Cup, which is staggering when you think about how big China is and how many resources they must have, and yet they, whatever. Do you get a lot of J League players coming down to play in the A League?
No.
Wow.
No.
Okay.
No, don't see a lot of that. A lot of the J League players will look for more European berths. But it is a very, very strange league to watch, because it's so easy to stand out if you're a good player, but the second you start standing out, you get pinched.
You gum.
Someone will just come in, and because there's no money, and this is the main, I think probably might be the main issue, because there's not big money in the A-League. It's so easy for a bigger club to come in and say, "Oh, we're going to offer you $2 million for that player." That club's going to be stupid not to take it. Too stupid. So you've got to take it. So, I just think, that's probably part of the problem why we have a serious lack of talent in the actual A-League. That's really not to say that Australia doesn't have football talent. We know Australia does, but just not in the actual A-League. But that said, Sydney FC, they do have Douglas Costa playing for him, who's actually quite a good forward. So he can be quite threatening. He's obviously a Brazil international. So keep your eye out for him.
With regards to the fan base for these clubs, obviously, like you say, distances are impossible. So I can't imagine there's many travelling fans, for example, not like you would get, with Wrexham and other teams in the UK. What kind of fan base are they like? Are they, because obviously you've seen the Wrexham fan base, where some might describe us as nuts. You and I included in that, obviously. I mean, are they kind of, vociferous fans of their club, or are they kind of just, are we just out for a day out, and it's, it's a little bit, well, if we win, it doesn't matter. If we lose, it doesn't matter, as long as we enjoy the experience, that kind of fan. I mean, what kind of fans are we talking about?
I think
basically I'm putting on a scale of if this is a nice family village club, and if this is Millwall, where on the scale are Aussie fans? Is the question.
I love that. That's a good one. It's like I remember when I was watching the TST, and look, I love Americans. I really do. That they support my show like you wouldn't believe. But my gosh, their chanting is like. It's like you're watching a ninth grade football game.
Yeah.
I literally
we need to go over and do some chanting school, I think, to basically.
I literally heard one person say, "When I say let's go, you say Wrexham. Let's go Wrexham." You're just like, "Oh man!" It's like, what do you do? So, our fans, they are not as passionate as UK football or EFL football. like you just don't get any better, more passion than that. But they are quite. They do get into it. They do have chance. They do sort of borrow a little bit from the EFL system, with regards to getting behind their team and all that sort of stuff. But you won't really see flares. Flares are banned in Australia. And yeah, the passion's there. Just you can tell it's not as palpable as coming from like the EFL. So,
are there any kind of
I'll tell you
rivalries?
that.
Because obviously you've mentioned there are two Melbourne sides. Are they kind of like, are they super rivals, or are they just coexist with each other? Because obviously, we're talking
No,
at the
that
moment
would
about
be the rivals.
Sheffield United and Sheffield Wednesday, and even though they're big rivals, it's been interesting to look on social media that there's a small number of Sheffield United fans who are absolutely delighted that Sheffield Wednesday are absolutely in the mud at the moment. But the majority of Sheffield United fans are, really sympathetic. So it's like, there is a rivalry between us two clubs, of course there is. But when it comes down to it, we don't want to see our city be dragged, a club from our city dragged through the mud, that kind of thing. So what kind of? Because obviously the two Melbournes, you mentioned Sydney. What are the kind of rivalries within the A-League?
There's really not like deep rivalries, other than Melbourne City and Melbourne Victory. I think you could probably make a case for Newcastle Jets and the Western Sydney Wanderers as well. And possibly even Sydney FC and Macarthur, but they're not as visceral. It's not like, unless you're a rugby or AFL supporter down here, that's when it gets really like you can get into it that way. But I'd say the biggest rivalry is the two Melbourne teams, Melbourne City and Melbourne Victory. It's always been that case.
Are you surprised with the relative lack of strength within the league itself? Because you've already said, are you surprised that Melbourne can support two clubs at top level?
Well, one of those clubs is owned by Emirates, or the same owners that own Melbourne, Manchester City. So
right,
okay, that's how,
that helps.
that answers your question.
The Bank of Saudi Arabia, that Hope Open, that definitely helps. And I suppose that comes down to what you were saying about, if you've got enough money, you can go in there and you can just handpick players from other teams who are really, really good, and therefore, almost buy the league from that point of view. So yeah. So with all this in mind, you're then expecting 3 Wrexham wins. Yep.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely. And I would be very, very surprised if it's not complete wipeout wins as well. So, I think if anything, maybe Melbourne Victory might give them a bit of a challenge. You might see a 3 or a 4-0, or maybe a 4-1. But I wouldn't expect top quality from these teams. This is a safe preseason. Let's put it that way.
Don't try and lull me into false sense of security. I've been a Wrexham fan for 50 years. I know how it works. We all have these things going. Yeah, we're gonna roll over them, and then turn up.
If it doesn't go the way I'm thinking, I'm going to look like the biggest knob, biggest Aussie hater. I'll lose all my Aussie fans. But I think most people share the same sentiment here. And like when they actually bought out, they said that they were going to make a championship for Australia, right? And they bought that out. That's just another round robin tournament that goes for 4 or 5 weekends. Right. And there's no progress out of that league into the A-League. There's no way of getting into the A-League. So promotion, relegation, everyone is crying out for it. Everyone wants it. And when they bought this out, all the comments, all the videos that were made from it were all, you have a perfect opportunity here to promote something with promotion and relegation into the A-League. Give other teams a chance in the A-League. But no, they didn't do it. They didn't listen. And everyone was saying it. Their social media feeds were littered with it. So, but can you get promoted out of the league? No. So no one's really going to care. So everyone's screaming out for it. Football Australia is just not listening.
Unfortunately, money talks, and that's the thing. It's all about money, because if you can keep your teams there, it's the problem is if you're going to have relegation or promotion, you need strong teams to come in and go out and fight for that. And by the sounds of it, the strength isn't within the structure itself because there aren't enough decent teams. So they're basically hedging their bets and going, well, let's just hold on to everybody because that we know at least that will work from that point of view. It doesn't really smack of growth, does it? It smacks of just consistency.
It is. That's 100% the best analogy. I mean, it doesn't smack of growth at all. It has been stagnant for quite some time, and it's been crying out for a bit of a shake-up. I think it's going to come, but when? I don't know.
That's the issue. So obviously you're going to Sydney to see the second game, Sydney FC. We get the delight, which I'm sure you're delighted about, is we have to sit up at shit o'clock in the morning to watch it over here. So perfect revenge for you guys, you poor buggers who have to get up at crap o'clock.
Well, you'll actually be fine because the game's on here at 7:30 Sydney time, so that will be what's that? Yeah. So it's not actually too bad because from WA, you guys we're 7 hours ahead of WA,
right,
and then add another 2 hours on top of that to Sydney. So it's not too bad.
9 hours. No, actually, you're right. You can just watch it over breakfast, so that's fine.
It's worse for the Yanks.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Yes, our American friends, definitely worse for them because they are already, they've announced this week that there are a couple of more matches have moved to 12:30 Saturday kickoffs, which for them is, particularly for the likes of Josh and Liverpool, that's 3:30, 4:30 in the morning. I mean, and for you, what does that do for you? That's good. That's good for you, isn't it? Because that kick on towards like a late evening.
Yeah, late evening. It's not too bad at all. I'm really happy about that, and I think it's to be expected when you go into the championship. More televisation of the games. Wrexham are quite clearly a very big draw in the championship. Everyone's eyes are going to be on us, and that's what worries me again because we've just had 3 seasons of being the team that everyone wants to beat, the team that everyone steps up for. The quality of game steps up for against Wrexham. If that happens in the championship, that's going to be a tough year.
It is. It is going to be a tough year. You're right. So you're going to obviously go and see Sydney FC. What are you looking forward to the most?
Few things. Obviously, the main one, seeing Wrexham in the flesh, being there in person, getting to hopefully make eye contact with some players.
Elliot Lee, eye contact or groin contact? Which one are you going for there?
I'll have the loving gaze into Elliot Lee's eyes, but I think I don't know, man. Like that's a big part of it, but then obviously I get to be around more Wrexham fans as well. I get to go to York Lane, which is a proper Welsh cafe and pub. And they are kind of like, I guess, they've advertised themselves as the turf of Australia for Wrexham. So I'm looking forward to going there, catching up with people that I've had on the pod or have met through the podcast.
How many Wrexham fans are you expecting to see? I mean, what's the capacity of the ground?
It's about Allianz is it's about 60,000, close to.
Mm-hmm.
As far as I know, most of it's been booked out, but there's sections that they haven't released.
Right.
I know Melbourne is pretty much close to being fully booked, and when I last checked, Sydney is pretty much fully booked. Like you can only get single seats here and there around the place. So,
and the one thing you can guarantee is because of the strong ties between, particularly Wales and Australia, a lot of expats will be there. A lot of people from Wrexham will be there who thought, do you know what? Although Wrexham's lovely and the drizzle and the constant gloom and doom, I think I might take a chance and travel thousands of miles and go and live somewhere where it's blisteringly hot and everything's going to kill you. So there's going to be lots of those. I mean, and that will be the interesting thing because the expat community in Australia, from what I can see, because I've never been, so I'm talking completely on my hat here. But the expat community seems very, very strong in Australia. I'm not talking about the Poms because the Poms try and take over everything and they just do their thing. I'm talking about the Welsh from that point of view. I mean, and that will be the thing is because it's a chance for them to come out and say, well, yeah, I'm Australian. I live now in Australia. Australia's my country. That's who I've pledged my time to. But I don't forget my roots. I don't forget where I come from. Like you, you don't forget you've come from Coventry. You're looking forward to seeing Coventry play. I mean, I would imagine while you're over here, are you gonna pop to Coventry at all and see some
I've
of the
got
old family
family.
haunts?
I've got family over there, so I'll probably pop in and say hello. And I know my grandparents are buried in that around there too, so I'll go visit their graves because I actually never got to go to their funeral or say goodbye or anything like that. Part of the realities of being an expat, but you don't get to attend those sort of things if because a flight from Australia to the UK is quite expensive.
Absolutely.
Well, actually, everything.
So if anybody's listening or watching, and they are making the trip to Sydney, where can they find you to say hello?
Okay, so I'll be in York Lane from about 12 o'clock on the day of the game, so 12 o'clock on Tuesday. You'll probably find me in, I dare say, at the Crown Casino on Monday night after I arrive.
Excellent.
So if anyone's at the Crown Casino on Monday night, I'll probably be there. And then
upside down in a dumpster about between Monday and Tuesday, I would imagine. Covered in a kebab at some point, I would think. And
usual. I think Tuesday night's going to be proper messy for me. So I think my plan is so Tuesday. I'll be heading over to York Lane. I might be doing a bit of a live show from York Lane. Meeting up with Nathan Salt as well from Rob Ryan Red.
Nice. And saw him on the plane this morning.
Saw
him on the plane heading over this morning. So that's great. Rob Ryan Red will be over there, which is super duper. So that'll be amazing.
So doing that, and then probably just enjoying some time at catching up with fans and people that know the podcast or want to come and say hello. I might even have a free sticker for people. If you come up and say hello and ask for a photo,
I've still got my bit of merch. I keep my bit of merch.
The old vintage merch.
It is vintage merch, that one. So yeah. Go on.
Then I think from there about 3:34 o'clock, I'm heading over to Allianz Stadium because they're having a pop-up turf bar there. So I'll probably hang around there and sink a few. And then watch the game, and then I don't know. I've done a flight home hungover before. It really sucks, but I think I'm going to have to do it again.
Yeah,
I don't think I'll be seeing my bed that night because I fly out really early the next morning. So I'll have to find a bin somewhere.
Exactly. If Rousey goes missing for a few days, we know where he is. He's stuck in a massage parlor somewhere and can't get to the airport. And then with regards to April,
funny because it's true.
With regards to April, and you coming over to the UK, obviously you've still got to finalise your plans fully. But what are your kind of intentions? What do you want to do? Is the question.
In the UK, a lot of it is just going to be around, I want to take in as much of Wrexham as I possibly can, and as much of Wales as I possibly can. I'm a big history buff. I love my medieval history and war history. So I'll probably do that. Now, my family apparently has direct ties to Anne Hathaway, who was married to William Shakespeare. So I might go and visit Stratford upon Avon.
Stratford-on-Avon is a beautiful place. Even if you didn't do the Shakespeare-y stuff, it's a beautiful place to be anyway. Right on the with the canals and
But knowing my family's directly tied to them, it's kind of like, well, I think I've got to go and pay a visit to them. So down on our family tree.
When you're doing historical stuff, there are good castles and there are bad castles. Okay, the good castles are the one the Welsh built, and the bad castles are the one the English built to oppress the Welsh. So don't give your money to the English castles. Go and give your money to the Welsh castles. Is all I'm saying to you. But I mean, definitely. Right. I mean, the thing is, you get out and just get out and the thing is, yes, lot of time will be in Wrexham, absolutely. But there is so much more around Wrexham to see, and so, for example, right, although it's a bad castle, you can get on a train from Wrexham. You can go on the train along the coast to Conway. You can get off at Conway, and Conway Castle's there, and it's one of the most restored and nicest castles that there is because it is huge. That is a lovely. It's right by the coast as well. On a good day, you can see Ireland. Good if you can get obviously to the Witherford National Park and go and see the Snowdon and the tallest mountains and all that kind of stuff. Again, can be a bit of a bum ache to get there if you haven't got transport, but you can use transport. So I definitely recommend that.
Do you want to know what I really love to do?
Yeah, go on.
I would really love to visit I'm going to be obviously there to watch Coventry versus Wrexham, and also do the home game. I think the previous week. I would really love to just do a proper Sunday League game.
Okay.
Just straight up proper Sunday League, Farmers League game, whatever. Just like something that's a bit outside of the norm, that's not part of the mainstream, that doesn't have the media. Just go along to one of these smaller teams that have a really good rivalry or really good, little small team atmosphere, and just go and watch one of those games.
So if you're listening or watching and you've got any recommendations for Rousey, who we can go and see on Sunday League wise, whether it be Sunday League, the beauty of it is there are so many teams who play Sunday League football right across the country. You're not going to be stuck to go and see a Sunday League side, a pub team or whatever. If you've got any recommendations, drop them in the comments or whatever, and let him know, and get him a chance to go and see something. Again, although it's not Sunday League, you have got the Welsh League you can look at, which normally plays on a Friday. Bala Town is obviously they're fairly close as a club. Airbus, Llandudno, a Real, all the way down Bangor FC, all that kind of North Wales coast. That's quite a hotbed for the JD Cymru Premier League. And the good thing is they're even though it's one big league, there are lots of teams in North Wales, so travel isn't a massively big thing. You don't have to hike your way 150 miles for you is nothing. You don't have to hike your way down to South Wales to because the problem with the women's sides are apart from Wrexham and that other club that pretends to be Welsh but isn't, which I'm not going to TNS. All the rest of the clubs are in South Wales, so obviously it's quite difficult. But from that point of view, so you're not going to be stuck for football. But if you do have any recommendations, stick them in. Obviously Wrexham wise, apart from the Kairas and the turf, anywhere else you're kind of looking forward to sampling?
I want to do a few haunted mansions. Supposedly, okay. I don't. Okay, I'll preface this. I don't really believe in that sort of thing, but I think the atmosphere is fun as heck. So I wouldn't mind doing a few of those.
So about 5 miles outside of Wrexham is the village that I was born, a place called Caergurley, where I lived until I was 12. By there is a place called Welshtechie, which is a big old hall that dates back to, I think it's 16th century or 17th century. Apparently, it's the most haunted house in Wales.
Wow!
So I'm told.
Yeah, see, I want to go visit that. Just for the chance I might have me balls tickled by a ghost.
It was owned for years. It was owned for years by a crazy old woman who basically spent her entire life trying to do the place up without any money.
Well, she can tickle my balls.
She's dead, so I would doubt that very much. Well, yeah, maybe she could. I don't know. Maybe she could.
A ghost can.
Exactly. So you can go and see. But again, there's lots. Obviously in Wrexham, Merthyr Hall is the main one, and that's open. That's owned by the National Trust, so you can definitely go and see that. That has lots of stories with regards to how it going back, from that point of view. So that would be a nice place to visit. The thing is, you're not going to get stuck for places to historical.
You'll find me frequenting a lot of historic places. So, like one of the reasons, like I'm staying at the Wednesday Arms. I've moved my booking to April next year, so I can, it's doing it that way. But the Wednesday Arms obviously has a lot of history behind it. It was the birthplace of the FAW. It was it was where they announced the end of the Great War.
Yep.
So a lot of history there. So I'm like, yeah, I'm staying there. So you'll probably find me when I'm not really doing football stuff. You'll probably find me frequenting a lot of historic places purely because I'm just fascinated by history. I really am.
It's hilarious that because the
Yeah.
Wednesday, it's a funny one for me because that used to be part of the Friday night pub crawl when I was growing up. You know, you used to go around town and that was part of it going into the Wednesday. But the Wednesday is a weird one because of the frontage is still the original frontage, but then they've just built a 1970s add-on at the back with all the hotel rooms in it. And it used to be before a long time before all this. Down that town hill bit, down towards where the Fat Boar is from the Wednesday, there used to be like things like a dirty bookshop down there. So it was kind of the place where as kids you didn't really go because you kind of like you knew if your mum found out you'd be in trouble because you were going like, why are you down that end of town? You shouldn't be down that end of town. And now, of course, now with the Fat Boar and everything else and Regent House of Flowers down there, it's all very gentrified now, which is absolutely lovely. But yeah, I mean. The Wednesday is, and you're right in the centre there. You're right in the centre of everything. I mean, just opposite you is the Midland pub, which used to be the Midland Bank, and that was the first place my first bank account was there when I was 8. Across the road, the other side, now boarded up, used to be a place called the Bacon Take, which used to be a fast food shop, and next door to that, which is now a pub. That used to be the Sun Alliance Insurance building where my mum used to work. So on the days where I used to mitch off school, Mum would drag me into work with her and she'd sit me in the basement of the insurance place. How she got away with it, I'll never know. And basically for lunch then, I'd go next door to Bacon Take and have chips from the Bacon Take and sit in the cellar of this insurance office and eat them. So yeah, I mean again, and you're literally from the hotel, you can see St Giles Church, which is just on the top of the hill. So, and just down the end, which is now flat and the chimney's still there, that's the original Wrexham Lager Brewery. So that's where that was originally before it moved right the way over to the other side of town. So, yeah, you're gonna be absolutely in the middle of it. You're very close to Vault 33. You're very close to the butcher's market. Where
I won't have far to stumble home when I'm
absolutely
really
not.
hungry.
No, you buy the long pull. You're literally round the corner from the best fish and chip shop in the world, which is Jonesy's Chippy, which is 100 years. You literally around the corner from it, so that you'll get that, which is perfect. You're literally in the epicenter. So yeah, brilliant. I know you're going to enjoy yourself. Thank you for your time today, Rousey. I've kept you far too long, much longer than
That's
probably
all right.
I should have done really from that point of view. But enjoy Sydney FC. We'll watch it from where we are. From what you're saying, it's going to be a pushover, so that's absolutely fine. And then we'll meet up in April.
Yeah, for sure, definitely. And I think
Are you still planning to do a live show in April?
Undecided.
Okay, fine. No
Undecided. We'll
fine.
probably see. Like I've got a few thoughts of doing something like that. Whether I can actually get Cryptic, my new co-host, to come over with me.
Yes.
I think that might be something I have a discussion about with him shortly, because he's doing well. I think he's earning himself a regular spot on the show. So
yeah. Well, just
really,
stick him in a flight trunk and take him on his
yeah,
baggage. He'll be fine.
yeah.
He'll be fine.
He's going to Melbourne and I'm
right,
going
okay.
to Sydney. So
right, there we are.
I was hoping he would go to Sydney, but nah, he's got family in Melbourne, and I think a little tip. You want to try and stay as close to the Harbour Bridge as possible, because that's where everything goes down. So
fair enough.
Yeah,
fair enough.
So
and for those who are living in the dark ages and don't know about your pod and your channel, do you want to give yourself a quick shout out?
Oh, sure. So it's the Wrexham Roundup on YouTube. You can get all your information from twobeardsmedia.com. And you can find me on X as WXM Roundup and Instagram as Two Beards Media. So if you reach out, or Two Beards Media or twobeardswxm at gmail.com if you want to reach out personally. I respond to everyone.
Marvelous, and it's brilliant. It's on my list to listen to, every week, or every 2 weeks whenever it comes out. And I really enjoyed your last one with Mark Griffiths, because obviously Mark is Mr. Wrexham. You know, he's forgotten more than I will ever know in my lifetime, and that was a really, really enjoyable to get his take on what he's looking forward to, and obviously we'll hear his dulcet tones come the start of the season. So that was brilliant. So if you've not gone out and picked that one up, go and find it on YouTube or whatever other platform you'd listen to. Go and watch that, because the conversation between Rousey, Cryptic, and Mark Griffiths is brilliant, absolutely brilliant. So go and find that. Thank you, Rousey. Have a good one.
Thank you.
And fingers crossed, you get to. I want you to try and get at least one personal photograph with a Wrexham player, one-on-one selfie with a Wrexham player. Try and do that. Just try and do that.
I will move to the ends of the earth to get that done, and I will try not to get a restraining order from Elliot Lee.
Nah, don't worry about that. It's fine. It's fine. Thank you, mate. All the best. Take care.
See ya. Thank you.
See